All right, so doing division, there are two methods. There is the long division method, and then there is the grouping method. So I'm going to go over the grouping method first. So the grouping method involves using circles to group them. So as an example, if I'm doing 6 divided by 3, I'm going to draw 6 circles. And when you're doing a number divided by a number, it's always going to be this number of how many circles you draw. And then this one will be how many groups you make. So doing 6 divided by 3, I'm making groups of 3. So I have 2 groups of 3 that are possible, and then my answer is going to be 2 because I can divide 6 into 2 groups of 3. And another quick example of this is doing 6 divided by 2. So I'm going to quickly do that. And then now I'm dividing them into groups of 2, which I can do like this. So that means 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And this will work in most cases. However, let's say you have a case like 9 divided by 2. So you have 9 circles, but you're dividing them in groups of 2. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, I have 1 left out. So what your answer is going to be is it's going to be 4 and decimal because the number is less than 1. And then you're going to put however many you have left. So I have 1 left. And then on how big the groups are. So it's going to be 1 over 2. And 1 over 2 is equal to 0.5 or 1/2. So my answer is going to be 4.5 because of that. I'll do one more quick example of this. I'm going to do 10 divided by, I'll do 10 divided by 3. So I'm going to draw 10 circles. And then I'm going to make them in groups of 3. However, so I have my 3 groups of 3. And then I have 1 left over. Right over here. So I'm going to write my answer. So I'll get 3 and then period, because the last of it is going to be less than 1. And then I'm going to put however many I have left over, which is just 1. And then however big the groups are, which they're groups of 3. And if you to put this in a calculator, you would get 0.333, and then it keeps on going on. And when a number keeps on going on forever, you put a bar over the last number in the decimal. And I'm going to write out 3.33 and then the little bar to show that it keeps on going on forever. However, doing division can also be done with long division, which will be more useful when you get bigger and bigger numbers, as it won't take as long to draw that many circles and less likely to make mistakes. So the way we do this is I'm going to choose a bigger number, do 125, and I'm going to divide this by 5, which is a different notation as this, where the number on the left will go underneath and the number on the right will go outside. So when doing this, you're going to work from the left to the right. So I'm going to look at 1, and I can't divide 1 into 5. So I'm going to then add the next place, which will be 12. So I can divide 12 into 5, 12 into 5, and that is 2 times 5 equals to 10. So I can write a 2 up here, and then you're going to do a negative out here, and then put what number that you're using. So I get 2 times 5 equals 10. So I do 12 minus 10 now, which is going to be 2. And then you bring down the 5, or you bring down the next place. So now I have 25, and 25 can be divided by 5, and that gives us 5. And then 25 is our final answer. So long division requires a lot of looking at uh, different places, different decimal places, and knowing your multiples of your numbers. So I'm going to do another quick example. This time I'm going to do 33 divided by 2. So I'm going to look at the first digit, which will be 3, and then I can do 3 divided by 2, which will be 1. Do the minus. 2 times 1 is 2. And then what am I going to get? I am going to get 1, and then you bring the 3 down, so I get 3. So now 13 can be divided by 2, or it can be partially divided by 2. When I do 2 times 6, that's going to be 12. So I can write a 6 up here, and then 13 minus 12. Then I'm going to get a 1. And then what you can do is you can stop right here and say your answer is going to be 16 remainder 1, like this. Or the next thing you're going to do is you're going to add a decimal place and then add a 0. And then you bring that 0 down, like this, like what you've been doing before. And then 2 divided by 10 is possible. That's going to be 5. Make sure to put the decimal in the answer, like this, and then that would be it. And then your final answer should be 16.5. Another way is if you're to do something like the grouping method, where you get 16 remainder 1, you can still do remainder 1 would be 1 over 2, and then you would. All right, so I'm going to go over 2 more examples of this. So the first example is going to be 400 divided by 10. And since 10 is 2 digits, I'm going to look at the first 2 digits of 400, which is going to be 40. And 10 times 4 is 40. So I'm going to do 4, and then subtract the 40 from 10 times 40, get 0. And then bring this 0 down. And then 0 times 10 is 0. To keep 0. And then my answer will be 40. So when you have like an edge case like this where you have 2 zeros brought down, or you have a 0 and then a 0 is brought down, it's going to be 0, and then you subtract a 0 to get to the next place or digit. And then the last example is going to be 101 divided by 10. So since 10 is 2 digits, I'm going to look at the first 2 digits of the 101, which is 10. So I can put a 1 right here, since we're going to do 10 minus 10, or 10 divided by 10. Right? And then that's going to be 0, and bring the 1 down. So I cannot divide 10 into 1 at all, so I'm just going to put a 0 to do 1 minus 0 to get 1. And then before, I'm going to do a decimal and then place a 0. Do the same thing right here, so I can bring this 10 down. So now I have a 10, which I can, did not mean to do this, which I can then do 10 minus 10 to get 0 to finish it off. So my answer would be 10.1, or if you were to stop at this step, since you can't divide any further, you'd get 10 remainder 1, and then you can do 10 point, and then you have 1 over 10. So you go to 0.1 to add that 0.1 on the end. All right, well, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please leave any some more